title for this one because, when you're in the middle of driving and such, and, I'm not going to know for sure whether it's going to happen until I'm already moving and can't stop because I'm probably late or will be if I stop. But, yeah, so, alright, we got a little bit of sun right now. It's been very, very cloudy by and large. Most of the time since the eclipse, right? So I've only had really one day to judge my assertion that the sun has changed its its hue, or the light of the sun has changed its hue, and which means if you look at the sun, and don't tell me you can't look at the fucking sun. You can. I do it. You can do it. I'm not special. It's also, you can't even prove that you're looking at the sun unless somebody is right there. Because, I could take a picture of me looking at the sun. You can't get me and the sun in the same shot. Unless you're, behind my head. And then it's just but I bet his eyes are closed. Right? You'll never be able to do it. You can't do it in one frame. It shows somebody looking at the sun. Right? So you can actually lie to a great deal of isolated people. And you can then suppress those that run around and say that they do. And until you've witnessed it, right? So anyway, long story short is that I'm not sure I'm seeing a significant difference in the color of the sun. It might actually be back to more of a yellow that we're used to, but I'm just saying that there's this odd kind of orange hue that is in the daylight. That's all I'm saying. And there's no way that doesn't have an effect on things, because we know that that's a different quality of light for it to have a hue. It's going to have slightly different properties. It's going to be at a slightly different frequency than it was. And when people say that the sun has changed color, are they also saying that the hue of light has changed color? Like there's the color of the sun, but we would have to think and say that the color of the light from the sun then has to constitute a change. And I think whatever that change was more subtle than we think. Just because I think of the, never know, because, you're not made to pay attention to these things. You have to become all of a sudden astronomically or astrologically minded to start, noticing these things. And you have to be, really minded for it, because it's not part of the regular zeitgeist, the regular science, right? The subtlety when it went from whenever it went, which may have been in the late 90s, it may have been in the early 2000s, but there was a changeover. And I think that changeover is reflected in film, right? Just filming techniques and filming technology changes all the time over time, yes. But it's interesting when you look at pictures from a particular decade And and it's just like 35 millimeter film, it looks this way. 35 millimeter film, it looks that way. Right? Through a similar kind of standard lens. And I think that the picture may have gotten sharpened by the sharpness of the light of the sun, or something to that effect. And I wonder what leans on that more so, right? Like, if I am different than the crowd, and things change, and yes, I change, and yes, the crowd changes, but I change differently than the crowd, right? My choices are dictating a different result from the changes. I'm reacting to changes differently. I am catalysting changes differently. Because, 2017 and I suppose 2020 were all lessons in humanity having a turning point and changing certain behaviors over that turning point. Right? Human behavior changed dramatically after the eclipse of 2017. Dramatically. Human behavior, I think, may have even changed in 2020, because there was an eclipse in 2020 that didn't matter to me at all at the time, because I was like, I couldn't deal with anything. There was only certain levels of woo-woo that I was able to really deal with at the time, as my whole perception of reality was shifting, as the destruction of the world by the merit of everyone changing their habits and their personalities. Turtles have knees. Well, I'm sure you could go watch all the videos on YouTube you want about turtles and knees. Unless you're trying to make a crass flat earth joke about the back of a turtle that its knees are supporting, then you've come to the wrong place, sir. Or ma'am. Whatever the hell you are. But thanks for the non sequitur. So this is why I made Ritual on the 8th. It is a testimony of me taking personal control of my actions, taking personal control of my destiny. Owning it alone, uninhibited by whatever I reject in the collective, in the zeitgeist. I didn't need to be sit there and just staring at the sun with glass. Like, if there weren't clouds, especially, right? And there was nothing sullying my my experience of the event. But I was very busy doing the little things that made my ritual what it is. Taking the sanctity of the time and not just merely squandering it by the witness of the event. Because you know what? these eclipses are these amazing anomalous things. I've now seen much of one without totality, sadly, for myself, but I've seen much of one now. And it conclusively matches most footage of, most of the ordinary footage that we've ever caught over the years of an eclipse. So I'm not in a desperate state of need to make sure I've seen it. But I did have a need of seizing the opportunity, of harnessing it. That became ultimately very deeply important to me. All right, I'm off to work. I noticed I had like 10 people in here at some point, so that was cool. Thank you for popping in. You can check out and see, I showed one small thing from my ritual that was not even part of the main ritual. I did a little Qigong session that I recorded on the GoPro. You can watch that here on the channel, as well as some of my commentary and whatnot. You'll see the makeup job I did, etc., etc. And of course, I did a read of Heidegger. I think we're maybe 20 chapters, less than 20 chapters, perhaps, away. We're not too far away from the end now. It'll take like, maybe 5 or so sessions at this point. Okay, I'm off to work.